Hello and welcome to another episode of Laptop Retrospective, and today we are going to be looking at some ThinkPads, unsurprisingly. If you've seen the thumbnail of this video already, then you've probably got a good idea of what to expect, but if you don't, just close your eyes, blank it from your memory, and enjoy this little bit of photographic trickery. This is mainly an unscripted video because it was an opportunity that I had to look at essentially the X200 era. So we're going to be starting at the beginning with the X200. We're going to be taking a quick stop and looking at the X220. After the X220, we are going to be looking at the X240 again. And then lastly, we'll be taking an opportunity to look at how it compares with the X280, which is one of the last of this era before the release of the X390, and then of course the X12 and so on. So what we're looking at here is essentially a gap of 10 years of innovation across all of these different models, and that makes things really interesting to look at, starting from the very beginning with the X200, the updates they made to the X220, the X240 representing the Power Bridge era, and then of course where we ended up just before the last refresh. So a couple things I want to say right from the beginning is that depending on what exactly it is that you're looking to do, even a machine as old as the X200 still has some validity and it has some cost savings. These things are exceptionally inexpensive right now, and they are great little computers. You will note that the X200 does not feature a trackpad, so that might be a turn-off for some of you. But if you learn to use the track point, or if you're constantly using a mouse, then these things are really not that big of a deal. The X201 does feature a trackpad down here, and if memory serves me right, they can actually have that palm rest retrofitted in between models. If you want to know more about the X200 or 201, I've got videos that I'll be leaving up here in the usual area. One thing that's really cool about these models is that they do work with an Ultra Dock, which does feature an Ultra Bay that can swap out for all sorts of different media, DVD drives, extra hard disks, all that good stuff. And they're relatively easy and inexpensive to find. Beyond that, this is still a really cool computer and really set this thing up for success. You've got express card slots, which you could utilize the ThinkMods adapter to get even more storage in this thing. There's just a lot of really neat things going on with even a model that is this old. Now, moving over to kind of the next generation would be the X220, and the X220 has been a around-the-house daily driver for me since 2018, which is the year I started the channel. Now, the X220 is favored because, of course, it does have that classic 7-row keyboard, and if you got the i7, you even had USB 3.0 default on the motherboard. Now, you can get express cards, and I have featured that modification up here with mild success, and very often it's the X220 and X230 that is the subject of pretty intense modification. One of the reasons that I love the X220 is the size, the keyboard, the ThinkLight. All of these things come together and make a beautiful package, and I have an entire playlist over here of admittedly older videos of some of the modifications I've made to this one. The X230, which I've also featured on this channel, has the newer keyboard, newer CPUs, and is no less of an amazing piece of equipment than this fellow is. It also features several dock options, including an Ultra Dock similar to the X200, and is just a beautiful little machine that can be updated and upgraded in so many different ways. Now, the X240 gets a bit of a rap because of the trackpad that they tried on this era. The X250, 260, 270, and so on, however, do not have this. So if you are looking for a nicer version of this, the X250 is essentially superior to this one in every single way. But if you are looking for cost savings, you might be able to find an X240 on the cheap, and then with the money you save to swap in the newer style trackpad, which is easily doable. And I actually did it in a W540 a little while ago. This also has a dock port on the bottom and was the first in the era of the X series to have the Power Bridge technology, which means you have a dual battery system for loads and loads of charge. So in a lot of ways, the X250 is a fantastic piece of equipment. If you want to gain access to all of the upgradables, you are taking that bottom cover off, which isn't the end of the world. You do have full-size SD card readers still. There's an awful lot to like about a unit like this, and it is still very easy to recommend the X250. And then to top it off, our most recent guest to the channel is, of course, the X280. And this is the departure of the Power Bridge era, which I talk about more in this video over here. But it is still no less an excellent little computer, even if it does come with a few compromises. You can get these things fully spec'd out for around 500 Canadian dollars and really not leave yourself in a situation where you wish to upgrade any further. You are running 8th generation Intel CPUs, which means Windows 11 is possible. Windows 11 is technically possible on some of these older models, but is not officially supported. That being said, Linux is an excellent alternative to any of these older machines, especially if you are just going to be using it for word processing, checking emails, all of that good consumption content, and even some productivity is easily adaptable under Linux with a very small learning curve. At any rate, ladies and gentlemen, I thought I would just take a little bit of time to quickly feature each one of these models kind of side by side. There is an awful lot of innovation and kind of evolution of computers that we can see in just these 4 models that we could spend an awful lot of time unpacking, and perhaps one day I will. I'm not too sure if it'll be a video or if it'll be an article on my website, but as easy as it would appear to be to pick a clear winner from even these 4, it entirely depends on several things, like what you intend to do with it, your budget, what technical specifications you have for hardware, your operating system, what are your expectations for battery life. All of these things kind of come together and make choosing a used ThinkPad very much a personal preference and a budget preference. Honestly, with any of these properly configured, I would be very happy to continue to use in place of my X220. It all just depends on what I'm hoping to do. At any rate, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've enjoyed this very unscripted look at some of these ThinkPads. It's a really cool opportunity to have essentially a 10-year look at these 4 models and the differences and the little changes that occurred in between them. If you do enjoy this sort of content, I am going to encourage you to do the big 4. Please like the video, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, so the next time I get an opportunity to feature some cool machines like this, you'll be the first to know about it. Thank you so much, and I will see you next time.